Welcome to the Move Better podcast. Today I have with me Bonnie Leftak, who's a transformational coach, an online coach, as well as a gym owner at the Fitness Asylum with multiple locations. The one I'm most familiar with is the one in, I think it's West Boylston. That's right
Well,
down the
it's
street from.
there's close to you is probably Boylston and Shrewsbury.
Yeah. So welcome to the podcast, Bonnie. I'm so glad to have you here with me, and we'll also talk a little bit about your own podcast. So I'm very excited to hear like your journey and what you've been up to. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and how you got here today.
Awesome. I appreciate being here, Laura. This is so great to connect with other like-minded professionals in the health, wellness, and fitness space. There is obviously a lot of overlap in what we do, and probably a lot of overlap in how we got here, right? Years
Yeah.
and years later, sort of. I think for me, probably for a lot of women, I got into this business because I discovered fitness accidentally. I was, this is the early 90s. I'm in my 20s. I discover locally, the local jazzercise place, and I needed to work out. I'm out of college. I'm, sedentary. I'm looking for something fun. I really don't know much about it. And I fall into just this community, right? And I think a lot of times what fitness becomes for women is that new place of how to make friends, how to find like-minded people, whether that's at a jazzercise or a CrossFit or your, local YMCA, wherever you want to go. And ultimately it led me step by step, not just to fall in love with fitness through jazzercise and my own, my own physical transformation, is then, hey, I want to teach jazzercise. Hey, I think I want to be a personal trainer. Hey, I'm going to get involved in the corporate side of fitness. And I have worked for all of the largest providers, at least at the time in the late 90s, early 2000s, the Wellbridge, Boston Sports Club, HealthWorks. Like I've been through all of the largest fitness corporations and working at a very high level, managing all different kinds of personal trainers and coaches and group exercise instructors. And ultimately, fast forwarding, what led me to open the Fitness Asylum was what happens to a lot of people. I got fired. So I got fired. And, in many ways, that was the biggest blessing of my life because it gave me just an opportunity to say, okay, ultimately, what is it that I like to do, that I want to do, that I'm really passionate about? Am I really passionate about being in corporate fitness? No, not really. It sounds good and looks good on paper. It ticks all the boxes. It pays you a salary. But I was also already teaching classes, personal training clients. So I kept my foot in the door, so to speak, working hands-on with clients because that's what I wanted. I wanted to help women transform their life in all the different ways. And, when push comes to shove and you get to decide, okay, what is next for me? I really said, okay, I'm just going to do what I know how to do. I just need any old space to do it. I didn't really think. And it started organically. I rented a room essentially in somebody else's physical therapy practice and eventually signed a lease, for a little spot in Shrewsbury. And I was panicked, having done a fitness business in the past that didn't take off. I was like a lot of women, you get, just like starting anything else, a new job, a new diet, you name it, new relationship. It's very nerve-wracking. Like, what if this doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I sign this lease? What if I can't make it happen? And this was 2011. This was a long time ago when there wasn't a lot of places for women to come get that boutique gym experience, that boot camp experience. It wasn't about a gym membership where you're just coming to, pay your dues and, walk on a treadmill. This was, hey, you just come and we'll do the rest. We'll set up the class. We'll show you the form. We will take you through this journey. And, it's been mind-boggling to see how that business has grown beyond just a boot camp workout. We have, fitness, nutrition, wellness programs that run from the fitness asylum that have been in place since 2011. One location spilled out into that second location in Boylston, into the third location in Hudson, fourth location in Grafton. And all along the way, we grew the business by working with our client base. So my best clients became my best coaches. My best clients became my best teammates. My clients became, part of the business, and because they felt very passionate and very vested in it. So here we are today. And like a lot of women, the pandemic came 2020, right?
Yeah.
So March 2020,
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh boy, what are
Yeah.
we doing? And I'm very grateful. The fitness asylum is still going, and we pivoted very quickly within a day. We're like, okay,
That's
we're going to do online classes. That's not a problem. And my whole team, just figured it out. And when we can do outdoor boot camps, we did that. So we've done all the pivoting for the brick and mortar side. On the other end of it, I really thought like, okay, well, this is a great opportunity to think about what bigger problem can I solve? And there are a lot of problems, obviously, with health, fitness, wellness, weight loss. There are a lot of different kinds of problems. One of the problems I was really passionate about solving was how to help women not just lose weight, but not regain it. Right.
Mhm.
That was what I saw a lot over, and this spans back to me working with clients from 2005, really online, very small, like one-offs, not
Yeah.
huge, not a huge online business at that time, but I really set out to, okay, I want to help women lose weight, not regain it, and especially focusing on the over 40 crowd, because that's who I related to. And that's my demographic. And to be perfectly honest, it's really the over 50 crowd. But if you're over 40, guess what? Eventually you'll be 50, and eventually
Yeah.
you'll be over 50. And looking at all the different ways that women, their bodies do change. There is no denying that. And when we look at adding in the stress of the pandemic, right? That's a whole other stress
Yeah.
on top of, right? You're already aging, you're already maybe in perimenopause or menopause, and there are a lot of different factors. And trying to create a program to really address that is not another challenge, another diet, another quick fix. Certainly the world is filled with all of that. And so that's the bigger online piece that I'm working with. I also, of course, under the Fitness Asylum umbrella, I know you work with cheer athletes. I work with stage competitor athletes. So that is a whole other passion and love as a former competitor myself. And that was also part of my personal journey, was getting on stage, competing for many seasons, many years, and then, to be perfectly honest, recovering from that, having to recover from 2 hours of cardio a day, plus strength training, plus low calorie dieting, and all the things that I would never tell anyone to do. I did it, and it didn't work out. I mean, it worked out to a point, but your body can only sustain so much. So I also like that group of women to work with, both making their journey very healthy and then helping them on the other end sort of acclimate back into real life. So at this point, the Fitness Asylum and my own personal coaching brand, we don't exclusively work with women, but it is, in large part female. I think what happens, because we are in large part female, they have husbands, they have brothers, they have coworkers, they have friends who are men. And that's where that's where you do see men who are working out with us, who come into, some of our other programs like the Body Challenge and things like that. And what I love about our connection, Laura, is that, for most of my clients, they're not getting to 40 or 50 plus without injury, without chronic postural or something genetic, and, something that's been going on. They might have arthritis, they might have some autoimmune stuff. Like, there's such an overlap with so many different health, fitness, wellness providers. I just love the opportunity to be on your podcast. And obviously I could probably talk all day and all night, but that's how I got to where I am right now.
That's awesome. That's an incredible journey.
Long journey.
Yeah. I had a brief moment, a thought that, cheering in college and came out of college, and found strengthening at the end of my cheer career. And then kind of really, when I finished and I graduated, I was like, okay, I need to get to the gym. And I just loved starting to lift weights, and never really loved cardio, but which I need to embrace a little bit better now. But so fast forward, back in, it was like 2010, 2011, I was like, you know what? I want to do something that felt like the competing would be similar to training like cheerleading and get me back to where I was in cheerleading. It was a very brief moment. I think I worked with somebody for like 6 months, and I was like, this is so much work. And so like, we talked a little bit beforehand about sustainability, and I was like, I want to be able to make this change and stay fit for a long time. And I just couldn't see that like up and down and that constant, like, and because it's hard work. I have my prior hairdresser who I loved, she still competes, and she's just constantly, changing. And like, she would talk about, it's really a stressful time because she's cutting down on food. And anyways, I think looking at that from the long term, and like you said, recovering, and like, how do you incorporate that like long term is key.
It's, it is something that a lot of people don't talk about it because it's almost like, well, if I talk about the dark side of competing, right, does that hurt me? Does that hurt a sport that I love? Right. And it doesn't, right? I think it's the honest thing to do. And something you mentioned, right, is yes, I fell in love with strength training. Like, I started with jazzercise, and then I hired a personal trainer. Basically, it was my mom was like, listen, if you can teach a class to like 20 or 30 or more women, why would you could do one-on-one? And at the time, late 90s, personal training was like the thing. Right now, it's not the thing. It's coming back, I think, maybe because of the pandemic, and people were like, I don't want to be around a lot of people, but strength. So I did as well, fall in love with strength training. And I saw, wow, as much as I love jazzercise, and that is fun, right? As much as you love cheer, or you love that like as a hobby and stuff, what will support it, what made jazzercise better, or what would make cheer better, or what would make any activity or your life better, is strength training. And I was introduced, and jazzercise had some strength training, here's some bands, here's 5-pound weights or whatever. But it wasn't until 1998 that I'm like, okay, here's a gym, and here's a leg press, or here's all the things, and we're going to do all the things, and you're going to learn it to the point where you'll be able to teach it, and you'll be able to do personal training with other people. And I got, more certifications and more education and continuing education. And, and it changes, right? Me personal training a 25-year-old is not the same as me personal training 55-year-old me. Actually, I'm 56. So now I'm already lying about my age, but it's, and again, sustainability. And, I think competing is very hard on your body. Not everybody is built for it. It takes all of your life. It takes all of your energy and time. And as much as I love the sport, what I think has made me successful with the sport in coaching others is that, like, hey, I'm going to pave the way for you here. And we're not doing that. And we're not doing that. And, we have to, this is like, if you want to do this and stay healthy and feel good, then we have to really be very careful. And the same message I would have for a non-competitor. We still have to sleep. We still have to recover. We still have to have nutrition. We still can't do crazy stuff with, God knows what supplements and go to the end of the earth to make this goal happen. I'd rather you take more time and not less time and crash diet, right? It's sort of competing, right? Getting on stage is a microcosm of a bigger diet issue we see, which is fad diets. Go as fast as you can. And you've been there because you work with clients. Once you lose muscle mass, it ain't coming back that fast. It's not coming back as fast as lost body fat. And, sustainability, really prioritizing building muscle, keeping muscle, making it functional, is at the foundation of everything that I'm all about.
One, this is kind of a pivot, but along the same lines, you mentioned about stress, and one thing that I see in the clinic with injury, I think it can be a lot of body mechanics and posture, but the injuries will occur when you're tired, when you're stressed, and then that affects that stress can not only an injury can affect how you're performing and create a bigger stress in your body that, maybe you only have elbow tendonitis, which can be pretty limiting, but that stressor can create that inflammation, and then that affects how your body reacts on a whole. So what kind of things are you seeing, or do you work with people, as far as how do you manage that? There's a lot of stressors in life, and so how do you manage that stress between nutrition and learning to move better? And what kind of, are you seeing those things with clients that you work with, and is there advice that you can give people on that end, not just in managing injury wise, but the whole management of stress in general?
Yeah. It is interesting. Sort of how I look at working with clients, especially in my coaching program called Self-Made, where it is the women over 40. It's it's sort of having the ability for me to do that 30,000 foot view and kind of a deep dive, because it's not like, hey, let's just focus on your food, or hey, let's just focus on working out, which is conventional diet, right? Just eat less and move more, or make sure you eat low carbs, or you eat less processed food, and all of that does matter, right? Nobody's going to be in better health or feel less stressed with processed foods, right? So I truly believe at a sort of a root cause is stress, and the inability or lack of how to manage stress. And that is both physically and emotionally or mentally. I don't do therapy. I'm not trying to be somebody's, therapist and, do, past trauma, anything like that. But it is interesting. And I'm sure what is interesting working with clients from a physical therapy standpoint, at least what I believe is that the body keeps a tally. The body has a memory. Things that you are not dealing with mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, what have you, is manifesting itself in all different kinds of ways. And it is a process to work with the client to figure out and that's what I think I love about it. I think it's let me figure this out. At least, I don't necessarily have to find the root cause, but if I can pull a couple roots, or I could start to untangle the Christmas light, so to speak, I'm going to figure out, is this a person who does have a lot of underlying inflammation, which is causing stress to the body, which is causing them they don't sleep well, they don't think well, they have brain fog. Where's it coming from, right? Where is this stress coming from? How is it manifesting itself? How are we dealing with it? A lot of people, of course, are dealing with stress by overeating, over drinking, overspending, staying up all night, doing extreme sports, doing extreme things, doing drugs, you name it. People are trying to figure out, or they're just over medicating in general, right? How to deal with stress? Well, here's 5 prescriptions. And I am not anti-prescription, especially if somebody is really experiencing debilitating depression or anxiety. I think we want to figure that out. It's not necessarily, hey, you have a nutrition problem, or hey, you just need to sleep more. There's a time and place. But I find a lot of women in the 40s and 50s, right? It's okay, they go to their doctor because they don't feel well.
Yeah.
And they don't sleep well, and they don't look good to themselves, or, they just don't fit in their clothes. It's just all kind of I'm at my wit's end, help me. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think our medical professionals, the primary care or the, OBGYN or even the endos necessarily are going to be like, okay, let's do a deep dive and let's look at your lifestyle. Let's look at a day in your life. Let's look at what you do for exercise or what you don't do. Let's look at any old injuries. Let's look at, how you eat, let's pull it apart and take a look at it, because 90% of the time, we're going to find some kind of stressor for sure. And a lot of it for women, as you probably know, is especially going in towards menopause, is that they don't sleep. I have hot flashes. I'm up all night. I'm hot. I'm cold. I'm this, I'm that. And we're just told, suck it up. This is normal. You just have to deal with it. This might last 10 years and then it's over. And you're left a former shell of yourself.
Right.
And so, I'm really about promoting overall, the sustainability and stress relief are actually kind of on the continuum. You can't have a sustainable lifestyle or sustainable weight loss or sustainable health without addressing whatever stresses are happening. And how could you, deal with stress? Sometimes it really is acknowledging what is happening, right? If it's a mindset stress, if it is a metabolism stress, if it is a physical, injury stress, it's try to narrow that down. I have clients who do end up, they go to physical therapy, they go to chiropractor, they go to acupuncturists, they go get lab work, right? So we can see, is this actually a hormone issue? Like, we are always trying to figure out, okay, what do we need to pay attention to next? We don't have to turn over all the stones at once. Managing stress is ongoing.
Mhm.
Ongoing, as you know, right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's like physical therapy. It's like, I'm not going to fix you in one visit.
Yeah.
And if you had an injury, we don't just fix it and it never, ever comes up again. It's like, it's there, right? Or it's likely to come back, and we have to do some prevention. And if we have to mitigate it again, we will. But, once we identify what's happening, we clear that, and then maybe it's something else. I'll bet you probably have a lot of stories where people come into you for one injury or one thing where they're like, it's definitely this. And you're like, actually, it's this causing that. And that's right. That's what makes it fun.
Yep.
It's helping people figure out that root cause.
Yeah, that's exactly. I see that all the time. It's that, because it's for an injury, it's never really the site that you're having pain at, but that's a different, the interesting thing with stress, like exercise has been shown to help manage stress, but exercise can also, depending on that, we need to do higher level intensity work to create that good stress in our body to help us manage our stress, to help us sleep better and all the things. But it's also, where is that line? There's too much exercise, and same with diet, low sugar. I was told one time, and that, I had some easy fixable digestive stuff going on, and the doctor's like, just don't eat carbs. And I was like, carbs? Like, I don't think that's the answer. Like, tell me not to eat potato chips, or not to eat the processed foods. Because it's not just one fix, and there's different stressors, like both, like you need that little healthy stress, but it's a hard balance.
Exactly. And it is individual, like figuring out, like somebody, some people can handle more stress. They can, for whatever reason, whether they're just younger or hardier, or they haven't had a lot of stress, or they handle their stress better. I mean, there's a lot of different things to it. There are supplements that definitely help with stress. The whole herb family of adaptogens can be very helpful. There are a lot of ways that we can address stress. There is not, of course, a magic pill, right? There isn't hey, just take this pill and you'll never be stressed again. But for our bodies, it is knowing, right, how far I can push this, because if you were going to do any type of hormone testing, or even what's interesting is blood sugar testing. A lot of women in my circle have worn that continuous glucose monitor. I've worn it as well. And it's very interesting to see, obviously, when we get out there and we strength train and we really are going to push it and we're going to push it hard, or if you're trying to do high intensity, you're going to shoot your, sugar levels up, your cortisol is going to go up, you're going to have like a hormonal reaction. And depending on the person, that might not be the best idea. A lot of women who love high intensity sports, who want to do the boot camp workout, want to go or the CrossFit WOD, they want to go as fast and hard as they can all the time. You can't. That's like, and not to say you can't work out or you can't strength train. There is a way. It is just a matter of slowing it down a little bit, taking longer rests, and, just making, and still lifting weights. You don't want to just like lift weights that don't actually, challenge your body. That's stressful, and probably more stressful on your joints. But it is so interesting how exercise can be that double-edged sword. It is. I do think a lot of my clients, but I love exercise. It's my stress relief. And I'm like, it is. And it's also creating stress to your body. And it's like finding that balance and that elusive balance. And balance, right? I kind of poo-poo that word, or I don't poo-poo it as a word. I just poo-poo it as a concept, because sometimes people make balance be like, oh, balance is, I want those potato chips, so that's balance. I'm like, yeah, that's just your brain playing a game with you. Like, I get it. Like, I'm not anti-potato chips, but nobody ever got healthier eating them. It's just, don't kid yourself that that's what balance is. That's just, planning out something that you enjoy eating. Balance is really just a matter of what you're going to prioritize, right? Because some people talk about a work-life balance, but if you love your work, then what is balance to you? You get to decide what balance looks like. But I do think it is individual. That is why there's not a one size fits all. That's why you probably meet with your clients and do an eval and an intake, and you try to figure out, okay, with this person in this situation and what they're bringing to me, what is our game plan? It's not going to be the same game plan as the woman who came in the hour before. And that's how I look at, coaching as well, is being able to give that more personalized attention. Like my programs at the Fitness Asylum, we have hundreds of people sign up all at the same time. And that's great. I mean, and we can handle that. We've been doing that for many years. Here's a program. We know it works. We'll help you if you have a problem. It's not like we just throw it at you and say, good luck. But with Self-Made, the ability is now a smaller group of people. There aren't men, there aren't 18-year-olds. They're not, it's very concentrated. And so I know what I'm looking for. But I get surprised sometimes, right? I get surprised.
So let's talk more about the Self-Made program. And, I know I was looking, I know you have a couple of different options in there, but what's the ultimate goal of all of the Self-Made?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that, right? Sometimes like, what are we doing? Because people come in, I will tell you 99.99 or 100% of the time, it's for weight loss, right? The goal is weight loss. Along the way, we discover maybe somebody has a microbiome issue. Maybe someone actually has an injury that is creating inflammation. They just haven't really dealt with some other outlying cofactors to their weight loss. Sometimes we figure out, it's hormones. What do you want to do about it? What can we manage with sleep or with exercise or with food? Sometimes it's food sensitivities. Sometimes it's mindset, right? Why every day at 4 p.m. do I have the urge to eat my whole house? And figuring out those triggers. And then of course, usually it's a couple different things. So people come in for weight loss, and the idea of it being self-made is that we really are working with women who want to say, okay, you know what? I can create my own life here, my own body, my own physicality, my own health, my own wellness. I do have control. And I think that's really important. I think, especially like you saw it really spike along with COVID, where people felt like life is so uncertain. I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. I have no control. And that's a horrible feeling. But we did have some control. I had control if I went for a walk. I have control of what I eat. I have control actually of what I think. And we do have a variety of different tools and diagnostics, whether this is taking someone down that mindset journey of figuring out, okay, well, we can clearly see we're going to keep overeating. We're going to keep under exercising when we think, why bother? This won't work. I don't have any time, right? The things that we think all the time, and we just, help women see the power that they do have and how they can make it work in a very busy life. I mean, my clients are all professionals. My clients all work. They work at home. They have business travel. They have, a lot of them do have kids at home. They're, like probably a lot of your clients, they're like, I don't have time to fix my injuries. Right. It's like, well, you're going to have then, I hope you have a lot of time in 10 years to be in the hospital. Like if you don't address this now. So they come for weight loss and they get a whole lot more. I've seen clients, change jobs, change relationships, just change the way they think and feel about themselves. And to be not just lighter or leaner or in smaller clothes, but to feel better, emotionally feel better, to show up anywhere in life and just feel calm and relaxed and get over the all or nothing thinking and dieting and get over all the people pleasing and getting over, I have to do everything for everybody else and not for myself, is, deciding, okay, you know what? This is my one life. This is it. I'm not obviously getting younger. I'm now realizing I'm feeling more stuck. I'm hitting more plateaus. I'm seeing the results of changing metabolism and changing hormone status. It's up to me. And, just when women raise their hand, we get right to it. And we, figure out, I think for most of them, it's working on the food first, making sure there's enough nutrition and enough calories on board, and then going from there. Some women really just need help getting over some of their diet mentality. Like, I can't eat carbs, right? Though carbs. Right. And, how to integrate carbs, how to eat anything actually that you enjoy and do it in a way that works for you, or identify what foods you're not going to bring into your house right now. What are your triggers, right? What is really happening? Are there food sensitivity? So as we go along and we really work on nutrition and we really work on getting enough calories, we also find a lot of women don't really have a sense of true hunger, true physical hunger. And that's an interesting thing I had never really considered. I think probably because just as a lifelong dieter myself, I just always felt like you should probably just always be hungry. And it's been it's been interesting for me to work with women where I'm like, oh, that's fascinating that we're unsure. Am I hungry? Have I had enough food? Is this, and it does take time to unravel for some women, 10, 20, 30, or 40 years of dieting.
Yeah, it's a lifelong, that I think, you mentioned at some point with the roller coaster, and then we're always up and down, and like, how do you, that's where it goes back to balance. And how do you find that balance that you can once in a while have something, but you're on a regular basis, you're eating the nutritious food and you're getting enough calories in. So I think, so long, like you said earlier, so long it's like cut calories and exercise more, and like, it's not, you can only cut so many calories before your body shuts down and doesn't function the way you need it to function. So
100%, right? That's, and when that happens, and it does, a lot of things, right? A lot of things are, we're sacrificing bone, we're sacrificing tendons, ligaments, right? The joint health is also at risk because you're taking away all your nutrients, and you're not eating enough protein. You don't have any other supplements even on board to even help. I mean, there's not enough supplements in the world if you don't eat. Right. But yes, all of that. And that's, I just, I feel like it partially, my mission was really fast tracked, because in trying to recover from the stage, I went to a lot of doctors. I'd be like, I think something's wrong with my thyroid. Nope, your TSH is normal. I'm like, well, okay. I didn't know enough, right? So I had to keep going down a lot of different roads, talking to a lot of professionals, paying out of pocket to do consults with all different functional medicine people and different experts, who were out there, but I had to go down a lot of roads to find them, and a lot of hit and miss. And I think that's what kind of fuels me to be like, you know what? I want to save people the time, the energy, the money, the frustration, the hitting another brick wall, right? Hitting and feeling like nobody understands me. Nobody listens. Nobody knows people. I feel like I'm crazy, right? Something's wrong with me, or something's not making sense. And I'm not getting any help. A doctor is going to be like, well, just eat less,
Yeah.
right? Eat no
Right.
carbs, do
Right.
this, take a shot at this point. Right now we have a whole other, and that's a whole other podcast is,
Yeah.
what is available out there, and who's selling it, and does it work? Does it not work? You know, it's the Wild West, and
Yeah.
women are frustrated and they need help. And that's really what I've dedicated my working days to, is to help women. Not just, again, this whole idea of if you look better, you'll feel better. It's really the other way around, right? It's how do I feel better, and how do I look in the mirror and say nice things to myself?
Right.
And it's an interesting journey when people realize, dang, right, I'm hard on myself. I'm really judgmental. I don't say anything nice to myself. I am nicer to strangers than I am to myself, right? And that's part of the journey.
Yeah.
You're not going to improve your health, your physicality, your wellness, your weight. You're not going to make all those improvements if 95% of the time you think, I stink, I suck, I'm failing, this is never going to work, I'm not worth it, why bother? I look terrible anyway, so forget it.
Yeah. By my last podcast, I talked with Delia Duran and about just that topic. Like, she's a young physical therapy student who's been who struggled with body image and like that negative self-talk. And that's her mission, too, is it's so much more than the number on the scale, or, but how do you feel and how are you moving and how do we talk to ourselves? And, because that plays into the whole of life in general, and how we function and get by and all of that.
What is very interesting as well, when you talk about physical fitness or the way you might help rehab somebody in physical therapy, it's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is the exercise. And now we're going to practice it, and you're going to do it at home, and you're going to repeat this. And this is how, that's the same with how do I learn to talk better to myself? Okay, well, first, right, number one is the awareness around it. And that's usually like right. That's only the first part, is the awareness. And then we have to, on purpose, just like you'd give someone an exercise for physical therapy, on purpose, what do we want to say to ourselves instead? And then we actually have to say it and practice it over and over and over. As crazy as it sounds, right? It's like you're going to go put a Post-it note on your mirror in your bathroom so that you can remember when you look in the mirror, instead of saying, oh my God, what is wrong with you? That no, hey, you look great. You're doing awesome. Keep going, right? And it sounds kind of hokey, or like, is this affirmations, or like, oh, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and people like you. Don't make it, right? You can make it feel like that, or you can how would you talk to your 10-year-old self, right? If your 10-year-old self, you saw her looking in the mirror and trash talking herself, what would you say? Like, how would you want to address that, right? It's almost like I envision I am holding my 10-year-old or 12-year-old self's hand. We're looking in the mirror. What do we want to say? How do we want to do this? And I find for women, it's very powerful. It's sometimes very emotional when they realize all of the stuff that they say, or that they've taken in from, remember in fourth grade, remember in fifth grade, right? All the stuff. It's like a snowball rolling down the hill. It's collecting leaves and sticks and dirt and crap. And it's just become this big, I didn't even realize I had all this stuff in my self-talk snowball, right? It's just a mess. And now I have to practice. Practice talking to myself.
Yeah. That's the in my physical therapy practice and clients that I work with, I talk a lot about balance, but because people come to see us for balance, and I have a course called Centered, which is based around improving balance, but not, but it's balance like moving through, like it's a continuum. You have to practice, you're gonna fail sometimes, and then you're gonna course correct, and then you're gonna hopefully find that somewhere in the middle norm that you can float. And like my logo, that it's like a wave, and you just find the way to ride that wave and kind of go up and down. And um
I love
no, it's like
the
journey.
wave analogy. I
Yeah,
didn't really, I see your logo.
yeah,
I didn't take it to mean so literal, but I use the wave analogy quite a bit with my clients and just talking about like, it's an ocean, kids.
yeah,
Sometimes the waves are choppy and
yeah,
sometimes it's smooth. We're learning to ride the waves.
yeah,
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 I love
exactly.
that. Mm.
um so where can people reach you? Tell us a little bit about your podcast, and give us all the stuff.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. I am on Facebook, Bonnie.Lefrak. You can find me there. I have a free Facebook group as well. You can join. It is Food, Fitness, Fat Loss for Real Life. It's women only in that group. I am also on Instagram at Bonnie Lefrak. I'm one of those people who just uses my name, so it's pretty easy. You probably won't find any other Bonnie Lefrak. So if you're like, is it Bonnie.Lefrak or Bonnie? You'll find me. My podcast is on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. It is rated E. I'm not going to swear on this podcast, but it is un-F your weight loss. And you fill in the blank as to what the F is, but it is pretty much this topic about all of the different things that go into weight loss and how to make weight loss easier and accessible and sustainable for the rest of your life.
Go check those all out. Definitely, I enjoying your podcast. I've just started listening to it, but I really enjoy the conversation, the topic, and um, you hit a couple of real hit home points that I think are important for everybody. So definitely go listen to that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here today. I enjoy this, and I look forward to hearing more about your programs as we go forward, and hopefully we'll actually meet in person sometime because we're right close to each other.
We certainly are. This is
So,
amazing, Laura. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I really appreciate it.
pleasure. Yeah, I think your message is very important for people to hear. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, that concludes today's episode of Move Better. I hope you have a great day. Don't forget, when in doubt, breathe it out. Take life one step at a time. And as my friend Drew Kelleher said, you're responsible for your own vibes. So go get the day.